This is a presentation on the Amazon Fulfillment Web Service by Neill. It's part of the final project for the E90 Cloud Computing course at Harvard University Extension School. Today I'm going to talk about FWS, how to get started with it. I'm going to delve into the APIs involved in it. I'm going to look at the business issues it resolves. I'm going to talk about the demo I did as part of the final project, and then finish up with the pros and cons of using the service. So what is FWS? FWS is the API suite that allows sellers to integrate with Amazon's Fulfillment by Amazon service. It was originally delivered in 2008 and in June 2012 became part of the overall Amazon Marketplace web service, but it's particularly associated with fulfillment and the Fulfillment by Amazon offering. Probably the best way to describe what it does is to show it in this illustration. Shows the 5 steps involved in the fulfillment process. So if you're a seller with Amazon, you send your products to one of their fulfillment centers. Amazon bring those into the center. Then your customers come online, buy your product, and Amazon then picks and packs those products and finally ships them out to the end customer. So to get started with FWS, firstly you need to set yourself up as a seller on Amazon. And the point to note here is that you have to be a professional seller to have access to the MWS API suite. Other services you can be signed up to which will enable you to use MWS are Checkout by Amazon and Amazon Web Store. So getting started is pretty straightforward. You go to the Amazon Services homepage, hit the Start Selling button, and go through a registration process. It's very straightforward, just looks for name and address, email details, and finally the credit card or bank details. So once you've been through that process, you get access to the Seller Central portal, which is the main interface between sellers and Amazon. And if you're a seller on Amazon, this portal has all the information you'll ever need around your orders, inventory, any reports you may want to run, and performance feedback in terms of your performance as a seller on Amazon. So that's the first part of the registration process. So then there's a second registration process that allows you to access the Marketplace web service. And again, it's got its own homepage, which I have on screen here. So you start this off by hitting the sign up for MWS button. And then again, you go through a very straightforward registration process. And at the end of it, you're presented with your merchant ID, which is your unique Amazon seller ID, the Marketplace ID, which represents the the Amazon region that you operate in, and then similar to Amazon Web Services, you also get an access key and a secret key. So once you've got that registration piece done, you're ready to start implementing the APIs. Before I get into talking about the APIs, one other thing to note is that you need, if you've got products that you want to sell on Amazon, you need to list those with Amazon before you start to reference them in APIs, because obviously Amazon need to have something to refer to when you are making API calls. So you do that through the Seller Central portal, and it's a very straightforward process. Now there are some rules around the setup of product within Amazon and what they will and won't accept, but it's too detailed to go into on this presentation. So getting into the 3 API groups then, the fulfillment area is broken down into inbound, inventory, and outbound. And I'll cover each of those in a bit of detail now. The inbound shipment area of the APIs covers the shipment of your products as a seller into an Amazon fulfillment center. And 2 of the most important APIs in that suite are the Create Inbound Shipment Plan and the Create Inbound Shipment APIs. So starting with the Create Inbound Shipment Plan API, what that does is it notifies Amazon that you're a seller who intends to place some of your products in one of their fulfillment centers. So it's the initial handshake between the seller and the Amazon fulfillment center. So once you call that API, you get back from Amazon details of what you're going to have to provide when you're creating your inbound shipment. And some of those details are obviously the fulfillment center, there's a fulfillment center ID, there's a address and postcode of the fulfillment center, and there's most importantly a shipment ID. And then you use that information to pass your create inbound shipment API, and when that's been successfully received by Amazon, you'll be able to log on to Seller Central and see your shipments on the portal. There are also a couple of ancillary APIs that are useful in this part of the suite. One is the update inbound shipment API, which if you have any changes to the shipment before it goes to Amazon, you can notify them through the update inbound shipment API. And the get package labels is a useful API. It allows you to pull down labels from Amazon that you'll need to put on your shipment so that the products can be received correctly into the Amazon fulfillment center. So anybody who's familiar with the area of logistics will be aware of that this type of functionality is pretty standard stuff, but it's all supported by the API suite. And this is an example of the create inbound shipment API. Amazon provides Scratchpad to allow you to test your API calls. It's fairly straightforward. You just need your obviously authentication details, and then your business name and your address, and then your product SKU and the quantity, and you put in the request, and then you'll get a response from Amazon, which will be either successful or not successful. So once you've passed this step, you're actually ready to physically ship the product into the Amazon fulfillment center. And once in there, you get into the inventory area of the APIs. So the scenario here would be a business that's got its own in-house ERP system, and it's got its Amazon fulfillment center set up as a warehouse location within that system. So you want to make sure that your ERP system reflects what's happening at the fulfillment center. So you can use this API to pull Amazon on a regular basis to pull back live inventory information and keep your ERP system in sync with your fulfillment center. And this is the list inventory supply API. Again, pretty straightforward. Authentication details are required, but then it's either one of the product SKU that you're interested in or a particular date to see everything you have at the fulfillment center. The last part of the API suite is the outbound shipment piece, and these are the APIs that you use to instruct Amazon to pick, pack, and ship your product. So obviously the most important one is the create fulfillment order. So again, a scenario would be a business with its own website. An order comes in from a customer, comes down through that business's ERP system, goes through any validation that needs to happen there. Then the ERP system does a call out to the create fulfillment order, and that triggers the actual pick, pack, and shipment of the order. And then there are other APIs that you can pull that will give you a status update on the order so that you can update in-house systems. One other useful API is the get package tracking details API. So again, in an e-commerce scenario, you can call that API, get back your package tracking details, feed that back up to your website so your consumer can track their shipment. And this is the create fulfillment order API, and again it's sort of pretty straightforward in relation to if you have an in-house ERP system and you're trying to integrate it to this API. Most of all of the data you need is going to be on your ERP system, like your order number, any dates, comments, customer name and address. So in this case you'll notice that I got an error on this request simply because the demo I was doing was in a live environment, because it's as I'll talk about later, Amazon don't provide a sandbox environment for FWS, so it's not possible to do full end-to-end testing. But I think this demonstrates the capability and the functionality that we're trying to look at today. So in my demo for the final project, I covered what I saw as the most important APIs, and I've mentioned some of them in previous slides, around the fulfillment service. And they're really around getting your shipment into the Amazon fulfillment center, being able to check the status of your inventory when it's in that center, and then obviously being able to trigger the pick, pack, and ship of that inventory out to your end customer. So the business problem that FWS solves, well, again, it's a scenario where if you're a business that you either aren't online yet, or you are online but want to get online, and you're looking for a fulfillment solution, and you don't want to have to go through the process of talking to multiple fulfillment companies and negotiating individual contracts, you can get up and running on Amazon pretty quickly. Yeah, you can see the registration process is pretty straightforward, and the APIs I think are a great feature because regardless of the region you work with Amazon in, so if you're a US business or a European or an Asian business, the API suite is common across the globe. So picture a scenario where you're a small business just starting out and you just want a local fulfillment hub. You can work with Amazon with just say one fulfillment center, send your orders there, get them shipped to your local customer base. Then you grow nationally. You can extend the reach of the fulfillment centers you use, and the scalability is there within the Amazon solution. And then in a really successful business where you're going international, you can use the full scale of the Amazon global fulfillment network to fulfill orders to your customers worldwide. And the great thing from an IT perspective is that you've got a common code base and you've got common process between all of your fulfillment centers all around the world. And that is a huge saving in terms of cost and efficiency. So to me, that's the issue, that's the business problem that FWS solves for any business that's involved in selling online and shipping all around the world. The pros and cons, as I mentioned, I think the single suite of APIs that can be used in any location is a huge thing. The cost effectiveness of the solution is stacks up well against other providers. It's easy to get set up on. It's available to customers who have their own websites or people who sell directly on Amazon.com. Of the cons, I'd say the biggest thing for me, as somebody who's involved in development, would be the fact there's no sandbox environment. Any developer will tell you it's great to do full end-to-end testing before you launch a solution. So I'm sure this isn't insurmountable because many people are using the solution, but it'd obviously make life easier if there was a full sandbox environment as there is, say, for checkout by Amazon. So I think that's a miss by Amazon, but hopefully it's something they will resolve. The other potential issue with it is that if you're a large organization and you need some customization done at the local level in a warehouse, then the Amazon solution might not be the one for you. But if you've got a pretty regular business model and a standard set of products, and you're looking for a cost-effective and scalable fulfillment solution, then definitely Fulfillment by Amazon, empowered by FWS, is a solution worth looking at. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.